Welcome everybody to History Lessons. I'm your host, the journalist Sin-seer, and tonight we have a very special guest, Kenn Starr. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
What's going on, man? Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
No doubt, we want to go back in time and work our way up 2025 to see what Kenn Starr is working on. For those who may not know, take us back to where Kenn was born and raised.
Originally from Suffolk, Virginia, 757 for those who familiar. That's the starting point. Moved up to Maryland. Been holding it down for Maryland for quite some time now. So PG County by way of Suffolk, VA.
No doubt. Take us back to teenage years for Kenn in VA.
Man, shout out to the crew I was in with my cousins and some of the guys from down the way, man. Um, Crew called the regiment. Heavy Wu Tang influence. If in the hierarchy of things, the group I was in was probably like more of a killer army, you know, uh, in the hierarchy of things. So my teenage years, man, was just really about um, proving myself, man, proving myself, being one of the young guys in the crew, and just trying to earn the respect of some of the older guys in the crew that were really doing it. Like that was always the driving thing for me. Yeah.
Right. So, at what point did you start getting into, writing rhymes? Was that your first foray into hip hop, or was it, some would say they were DJs earlier on, some would say they were breakers, graffiti artists. Was lyricism always the head for you?
Yeah. And the only aspect that I was good at, like I know a lot of guys that have a lot of a varied skill set, but like the writing was always a thing for me. It's crazy because my first rhyme I actually wrote like with like a school header, so it had like my name and a date, so I know for a fact like I've been penning since I was 10 years old. First rhyme I wrote was in '93. So yeah, it was always always the rap for me.
So, who did the regiment make up? Who were some of the members of that crew?
Oh man, oh man. Shout out to my guy Pure. Um, he's still doing his thing, man, making moves. So it was Dark Sons. Shout out to my man Slum City Cash, Slum City Marv. Um, Oh man, it was a lot of cats, man. Shout out to my cousins Jayon Shamar, Imperial Guards, man. We were like 15 deep, It was like I said, it was real heavy Wu Tang influence. A lot of different, groups and producers, and you know what I mean. Just a lot of cats, man.
Right. So, around that time, what was the scene like in VA? What were you witnessing firsthand?
So that kind of ties back into, me kind of having a chip on my shoulder about proving myself because by that time, teenage years, I was already living in Maryland. So I would come down and I'd spend the summers down there. And, kind of being away from the scene, I'm the cousin from Maryland, right? And I didn't have the same style and sensibility. So, I had to really, make my presence felt. So really it was just like I wasn't as tapped in the scene. It was more so just about trying to earn my spot within the crew.
Right. Did anything materialize as far as shopping demos, mixed CDs, album? Did anything materialize with the regiment?
Nah. I mean, but that's part of the paying dues, man. That's where I really honed the craft. Learned about recording and just all making songs instead of just having dope verses and all that. So that was the boot camp for me. That was the boot camp for sure. Invaluable.
No doubt. So after the regiment does its thing, where does Kenn Starr find himself?
So then we go to late high school. I was a part of a group called Cutthroat. It's funny to think about now. But high school, we shout out to my man Black Ice Life, Jamaica Killer. So that group is how I met Sean Bourne. Um, and Sean meeting Sean was kind of like the catalyst for me ended up a part of Low Budget. So once I met Sean and we linked and we kind of clicked, like that was all she wrote. Everything changed after that.
Right. At this point, do you guys form Isaac Jones?
Um, Within those first couple of years, yeah, yeah, kind of, yeah, out the gate. It was just bugged out, man, because like living in Maryland and hearing somebody who I didn't come across a lot of people who were doing music that had kind of the more traditional hip hop sensibilities. There's a lot of different influences in the area, and hearing Sean's production. I know a lot of people may know him more so from MCing, but I met him first as a producer primarily slash MC, and it was like meeting like a Maryland primo. Like my mind was just blown. I was like, yo, it's done for. Like I'm getting a deal. Like we out of here. Like I found like primo in Maryland. Like what are you talking about? It was crazy. It was crazy.
Right. What do you remember most about the early stages of the Low Budget family?
Once again, a little bit of a recurring theme, man, because I was the youngest, youngest in the crew, and once again, it was just one of those situations where I just really wanted to prove myself and show my value. We would do shows. I'd be the only one on stage with the big black X mark on the back of my hand. Can't get a drink at the bar, like. But just from jump, man, it was always such an honor and a privilege because it was such an overabundance of talent. Just when you find your tribe, it's just a dope feeling. Like when you find like-minded individuals that are just on the same. It was an incredible experience, man. I just soaked it up every step of the way.
Right. Now, who was a part of that crew earlier on when you arrived to the fold?
So I first met Sean. Through Sean, I met Odyssey. Then Kev, Cy Young, Peter Rosenberg, Kenwood, critically acclaimed. Like everything, once the ball got rolling, everything went kind of quick. I think we officially, if I'm not mistaken, we decided to make the crew official around 2001. I think that's maybe when we did our first mixtape and chose the name. Shout out to Kev. We borrowed the Low Budget from Kev, and Kev is kind of like not kind of like Kev is like the RZA of the situation. So homage to him. Yeah.
Right. What do you remember most about putting together that earlier mixtape? Some of the trials and errors you went through.
I was just fighting for my spot, bro. You know, I will say at that point, like a lot of the cats in the crew were already more polished with making songs and all of that. At that stage, I was still trying to work past the. I was trying to become an artist. I could rap all day long, but like making songs and trying to figure out who I was as an artist. That was kind of paramount for me at the time. And
At what point does Half Tooth Records come into play?
Half Tooth comes into the fold. I want to say 2003. That was an Odyssey link. Shout out to my man ZDG, Zach Gordon. What up, man? One of the owners of the label. But Odyssey had started doing some work with them and walked me through the door. Like, listen, man, I got this cat. He's really dope. Like, y'all should sign him. And that's exactly what they did. So, yeah, shout out to Zach, David Schrager. Shout out to Wordsworth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Old label mate. You know what I mean? It was a dope experience. I mean, it was for me. I appreciate coming up in the era where it was the last kind of time where like getting a record deal was really a thing.
Right.
before the blog era and all of that. And like the timing of it was just chef's kiss because I just dropped out of community college, like trying to find my path. My parents looking at me like I'm crazy, like, what's your next move? And, I brought home a recording contract 3 months later. So, I never felt more justified and validated in my me pursuing a music career.
Right. Now, was that the goal to pursue a solo deal, or were you kind of in the group at this time?
Not so the thing is, like, I was always a part of groups, and I never had a desire to be a solo artist, but I always say I was solo by circumstance, not choice. Just for whatever reasons, I ended up like outlasting the groups where, cats kind of made different moves or fell off with the music. I just always kept pushing. And it just kind of ended up that way. But even to this day, man, like I'm so excited because very soon I'm going to be like putting out my first proper like group project. I've always felt more comfortable in a group. I've always felt like um, I'm better at giving a concentrated contribution to a larger thing. You know, I feel like that's when I function the best.
Right. Before signing with Half Tooth, did you put out any projects on your own?
Nah, I mean, cut a lot of demos. There's a lot of early stuff that I still have, but nothing that I ever put out officially. Nah.
Right. So the first project, You Don't Know the Half, the compilation album, was that your first official release? Being a part of that?
I believe so. Yeah, yeah. That was crazy because having Asheru and Talib on my first single was just once again just one of those just ultra validating moments. Like it really seemed within my grasp. Like yeah, I could really like do something with this music shit. Like this is crazy. But yeah, first official thing that dropped 2004. Um, but yeah, first time seeing my name on a piece of vinyl. I remember going to the record store and taking pictures with the record. Like it was dope, man. Like for somebody who's like this has been my dream since I was yay high. Had the pages from the source up on my walls, covering my bedroom walls, type of thing. So it's a lot of these smaller milestones were just mind blowing to me.
Right. I know you're at this time, you're kind of still fighting for your space because there's quite a few MCs on that project. What was that creative process like, and how did you land so many tracks on that compilation?
Honestly, I think it was just a marketing thing. With me being one of the few artists on the project that was signed to the label, I definitely got preferential treatment for sure, for sure. But I mean, it's not like I was a slouch either. So I think everybody won because I was putting my best foot forward. Um, at that stage, still trying to figure out the song making. I go back and listen to some of the earlier records, and there's some cringeworthy elements to them, but all a part of the process, man. All a part of the process.
Right. When that project dropped, what kind of reception do you remember it receiving, and how did life change for Ken at that point?
Um, I don't really remember what the feedback was like, but for me, it was just it's like the race has officially started. Like it's official. I'm really putting music out in stores. Like it for me, it was just like it's time to get super focused, super locked in because we're here now. Like I've been chasing it a long time, and now it's time to show and prove.
Right. Prior to your debut album, that's what you did, show and prove. So we're gonna go through your discography. Just tell me briefly, your favorite moments during these times. You linked with Foreign Exchange for the answer in 2004.
Yeah, man, such a dope experience. And it actually the way it came together was critically acclaimed Took a road trip down to North Carolina to cut a record with Fonte and Yazara, a record called Road Trip. And squad up. Like, we piled in a whip, drove down, and shout out to Fonte, man. Like, you want to talk about Southern hospitality, made us feel at home. We already had like a great working relationship with a lot of the Justice League cats. We kind of like our movements were kind of starting to bubble around the same time. So, and shout out to everybody from the lawn, the little Justice League message board. We were really locked in with those guys. So making that trip down there and meeting a lot of the guys in person, it was such a dope experience. A lot of dope records came from those sessions. I think we did 2 days worth of sessions. The Answer, critically acclaimed, did another record on Connected. Yeah, it was just dope, man. It was dope.